From the deep, dark reaches of Star Trek Online comes Nikodas and Grebog with another episode of Fleet Action Report.
Hello, and welcome to Fleet Action Report, the show where we don't just play the game, but we teach you how to play the game. I'm Nikodas.
I'm still Grebog, and this is episode 120. Enter the workshop, Aw, or Fire at Will. Yeah, it'll be a fun episode.
Faw.
Aw,
Faw. That's just fun to say. Faw. So originally we were supposed to do this with a guest along with us. However, we believe something may have occurred real life. He is not with us. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and run through this build. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please speak up in chat. However, before we get into our primary target today, let's talk about your week, Grebog.
oh, my week. Let's see. I've been working on this episode, putting together the build. I decided, since I was going to help someone try to do the build, that I would, on a captain that I have not already set the ship up, take this ship that he was hoping for, and since I had it, set it up myself to try to see if I could. I think, to me, it helps me visualize all that. So I did take a fair amount of time doing that. Outside of that, let's see here. What we did D&D on Thursday, and that was interesting. We killed some were rats, and then we befriended some were rats, and we also found some long lost party members that had returned. Well, a party member. Yeah. Let's see. That game, I'm the hillbilly hill dwarf. And yes, I decided I wanted to go different with my dwarf. Everyone likes to, I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, I'm doing a Scottish accent or I'm doing an Irish accent. This is my dwarf, yeah. And I'm like, nah, I'm going hillbilly. My guy's he lives by the creek, has a lot of fun. That's my hill dwarf. But been playing a fair amount of STO, kind of chilling with WoW. I haven't done a whole lot. I mean, we do raid stuff and yada yada. We completed the glory of the whatever raider for the final raid to get the special jellyfish mount out of that. I mean, everyone's got jellyfish everywhere.
Ain't that the truth?
Let's see. Outside of, I think that's been my week. I've been doing a lot of STO. Working on my KDF recruit, doing the Endeavor stuff with him and other such things. But yeah, that's my week. What have you been up to? Hopefully, nothing good. Everything good.
Other than returning to a D&D game. I actually really missed that game. It was nice to be back. And I love that character. I don't even know why. She's a straight monk. There's not really any tricks or anything to the build, but she's just fun to play. Other than that, primarily it's been STO. I started a new job, so focused on that. It's been taking a lot out of me, and I've been going to bed earlier than usual. But I have been playing STO quite a lot, and Destiny. Been playing Destiny 2 quite a lot. Still happy to be back in that game. For those of you who might not have tried it or might have tried it once upon a time, it is way more casual now than what it used to be, and it's kind of much easier to get things rolling and get the gear you need and do stuff. And currently they are also, like STO, they are running their Halloween event and giving some freebies away for participating in that. It's kind of cool. But that's my week in a nutshell.
Cool.
That one and that one. And as people are looking at my screen here, yes, I am building my ship. I'm not sure what happened, but when I switched over to my Titan, all of my stuff was gone.
All of it.
So I am fixing this. Yeah, all my traits, bridge officers. I'm even missing weapons. How did you lose weapons?
I have no clue. I've always been impressed when the impulse engines just evaporate, and you're like, I did fly here, so where'd they go? Anyway, so this week in STO, they are bringing out the Federation Command Carrier bundle, which I believe is it's here in 3 days on the 27th. That'll be released. That will drop the Seneca Command Carrier with support runabouts as hangar pets, and then there's a fleet variant for the Hiawatha, and then there's the Valdez Command Strike Wing Escort with Valkyrie Fighter Squadron hangar pets, and the fleet variant will be known as the Norway. The I don't the Strike Wing Escort voice. As I want to go on to, is the ship that intrigues me, interests me the most of the two. Though the hangar pets from the Seneca seem like they could be fun for a tank build. But anyway, also in this bundle there are 4 ship slots, 4 experimental ship upgrades, 2 fleet ship modules, and I think that's all the fluff. And because they added the fluff, that puts the price on it at 7,000 Zen or $70. When it first comes in, it's going to be 25% off, which will be 5,250 Zen. And like I said, it's going to be on the 27th, and it will be on sale until November 10th. So,
the current event going on, I mentioned the Halloween event. This is Fall of the Old Ones. It is currently going on. It will last until the 3rd of November. You need 28 progressory points. Progressory? I can't talk all of a sudden. 28 progress points to earn the rewards, but you can earn 2 of those per day. So you only need a total of 14 days progress, 28 points. The rewards include Sylvia's feline transmorphic charm, which will turn you into a cat. And yes, it is usable from your inventory. You don't even have to use up one of your trait spots or one of your device slots. And a universal console, the transphasic containment. The word is still up in the air as to if this is going to be a good console or a fluff console. We'll find out when it hits.
my first impression is if you're doing a control build, it will be if you don't have enough control expertise, it would be a console to use because it'll help with that. Outside of that, I don't know that it's going to be that beneficial. But that's just my take. And then Mud's Market, they are doing a sale. They added a bunch of stuff. Like right now, the Mud sale is going on. It looks like you better hurry because you have 1 day, 15 hours left to buy stuff. So right now, any individual items are 75% off in the Mud's Market, which means no, not ship bundles, but you can buy the new stuff, which they added 23.99 uniforms. They added the Fekleri Goktad carrier and the Imperial Rift space set. I can't remember the 23.39 uniform. That was part of another bundle, or was it a giveaway? I can't. I know the Goktad carrier and the Imperial Rift space sets were part of events in the past, so you may already have them and may not need them. But if you don't have them, you now have an option on how to get them.
I know a lot of people are hoping for more of the Alliance stuff to be added in, so hopefully we'll hear of that, but not on this round. Maybe for the next anniversary in February. We'll see. I know there's a lot of people hoping for it.
But yeah. Anyway, let's see here, and on to the next. We're ready for the main show.
We're ready for our primary target.
So the primary target, we were tasked. Let's double check real quick before we go. He's still not here. Okay.
I don't believe so. I'm not seeing anything.
Anyway, so we were given the task. Someone we went through a few of the ships trying to figure out what kind of style did he want to build. Does he want fast maneuverable ships? Does he like slow cruisers? Does he want to do the sci-fi space magic? We were trying to get an idea. He told us he wanted to do an energy build, energy weapon, and wanted to do fire at will. So, and then once I talked to him about what ships he had, he kind of liked the Titan. And if you don't know, the Titan has a tactical mode, and that puts it almost like it would put it as a destroyer type escort style. So it does turn quickly. It's pretty good ship. And I went ahead and built it up as such to try to test out to see where it would fall. Even with once I have it set up, it has right now apparently a 6.7 degree turn rate. Doesn't seem that great, but it's fairly maneuverable, especially since it's kind of a cross between a cruiser science vessel and an escort. You know, yeah. So there are some variants to this. Like, I am in a fleet version because that's what I had already purchased it on this. I think I was testing out the experimental upgrade, whether it went across two tunes way back. And the main difference between the fleet version and the standard is it has better hull, better shields, and it comes with another science console slot. And that's pretty much it. But then when you do an experimental upgrade, you also get the extra device and another, you get a universal console slot plus the Starship trait slot. So my ship may be better than yours in some aspects there. For weapons,
his or mine?
My ship may be better than either his or yours. I don't know what you have out.
I'm in the Titan, but I don't. Yeah, mine's not the fleet version. It is tier 6X, but it's not the fleet version.
Okay. So he wanted to do phasers. I did not go with any special variant of phasers. In all honesty, you could probably, if you like a special flavor of the phaser beams, use them. That's great. I just went with what I had, which is advanced fleet phasers that I had already upgraded all the way up to the epic quality on the front here. I hadn't done it all the way to the other ones, but And then yes.
What? Just to put it out there, what type of phasers are considered meta nowadays?
From what I was told, a lot of people are really loving the agony phasers. Now, that doesn't mean that they are meta. There's also the sensor linked, there's the ones that are the linked phasers, and you could use those because depending upon which way they are linked, they will essentially decrease your bridge officer abilities of one type, depending upon how they are linked. If they are linked with like a tactical side, it will reduce the tactical bridge officer time, cooldowns. So those honestly might be better, but I don't know how often that triggers. And from someone I was hearing talking about some of the, when you start nailing it down, the difference only matters if you get to elite. If you're in advanced, just having them epic is going to be far better than just having, the quality and what their traits are on them is going to be far more important than the type.
That's fair.
So I mean, you can, like I said, you can go with the ones like if I was going to try to max out this build, I would probably go with those sensor linked, the ones that do the decreased tactical cooldowns. So that way you can try to push even closer to 100% uptime on fire at will. I think I'm fairly close with it with what I've set up on this ship as is. So I do have on here the dark matter quantum torpedo. That's part of the two piece. That's the main reason, but there's also some one of the traits I get to. There's a reason for that. And then on the rear, I do have for the two piece the trilithium enhanced omnidirectional phaser beam. This one comes from. I noted this? Yeah, this one comes from the mission the New Frontiers arc Beyond the Nexus, and its main purpose is for the two piece. If you're gonna fly this ship, so you're always pointing your nose at the enemy, you could switch the other two phaser beams in the rear to be something like a kinetic cutting beam and another omni phaser, like the one a crafted or something you picked up and upgraded. But being a fire at will, I didn't see the point of going with all omnis on the rear. So the goal is to keep yourself firing constantly. So if you're surrounded by enemies, it doesn't matter. But two piece here on the trilithium, the reason you want it is because it gives 5% firing cycle haste on all energy weapons and plus 15 flight speed. So it just means your beams will shoot faster. As for the experimental weapon slot, the de facto best in slot is the Soliton Wave Impeller. So that's why that's there. However, people do like Voice of the Prophet still if you don't have the Wave Impeller. And if you don't have either of those, then just having anything in the slot. I don't know that the difference is going to be far superior. Yeah. The main goal was to get him into advanced and get where he was probably going to carry other people essentially with this build. Should be able to. And the Sultan Wave Impeller comes from the Rising Corvette. The alternative Voice of the Prophets comes from the Bajoran Interceptor. So
let's see, what's the third? The Flak? I think the third place experimental weapon is the Flak, which is from one of the reputations. And I did not write this down. I apologize. I will have to look this up. Go ahead, Grebog. I'll spend a minute here seeing if I can find it.
And for the secondary, I'm going to do the secondary deflector, then I'll do the rest of the space set. If you're going to do science, you just need a deteriorating secondary deflector. I did not really care much about what this deflector was, other than it filled the slot, and that's it. Because you're going to be the goal was to be in tactical mode the entire time. Which, when you flip into tactical mode, the secondary deflector gets disabled, and the experimental weapon gets enabled. So I put one there to fill the slot, and it's not a great one. But for your deflector, obviously you're going to use the colony deflector, which is elite intervention protomatter deflector. I went with the combat impulse engines, the prevailing innervated. Every time I hit a attack ability firing mode, I go fast. With this, if you have fire at will going constantly, you are going fast pretty much constantly. So I know some people don't like that, the super speed. So an alternative, I would say, would be grab the mycelial wave impulse engines. That's the disco rep. So and then the warp core is the disco rep warp core, the mycelial harmonic matter antimatter core, and then of course the shield is Tilly's shields. The two piece is amazing, which is why we use it, especially in this setup. You can be a little squishy, but this helps prevent that being a problem because you get 120% hull regen. If you do the three piece, then you get on the first attack, you do a bunch of damage, electrical damage to your targets. Which, if you're doing fire at will, you're going to hit everything. So that would it could potentially bump your DPS up a little higher by having instead of the competitive engines, the uh, disco engines.
So
Devices, yes.
it's called the Experimental Flak Shot Artillery, and it is found in the competitive war games reputation. So if you have none of the other higher ranked or um, like lockbox or harder ships to get, you can get this one for free from the reputation. Experimental Flak Shot. It's rated pretty high among experimental weapons.
Apparently, the free lightning experimental is a DPS loss from test, which that's
Yeah, I've heard
unfortunate.
I've heard that before.
Um, and yeah, so like I said, sensor link I think is actually the one that goes for um science bridge officers, or maybe it's something else that it does. There's a bunch of variant of the linked, like targeting linked, which I think is for the tactical. But then there's like other various something linked, focusing linked, blah. There's all kinds of flavors of the linked. For devices, I have the Kobayashi Maru transponder. It was an event from the old times. If you have it, it's great to use. If you don't have it, I guess another battery. I didn't list a lot of alternatives because it all depends on a lot of the devices depend on what you want to do and how you like to play. Because you could use deuterium surplus for increased speed. You could use it just yeah. There is one that will boost your energy weapons, which that's great for doing damage. Um, I kind of went with things that are somewhat easy to get a hold of because the transponder is an event. The red matter capacitor is from the Phoenix prize packs. You can get fairly easily that way. The subspace field modulator, and I put that in here. It comes from. Why did I not write this down? It comes from a mission. I was like, I just found it on one of my other captains. I had forgotten all about it.
Which one is it?
The subspace field modulator. It comes from Skirmish
Oh,
in
there
the
you go.
Davidian story arc. So if you have to do the specters and all that stuff, it comes in. It's in there.
I
It's
think it's
a
from the first mission in the arc,
yeah. It's a
so you don't have to
nice
go.
like resistance, like a good way to add some tankability to you if you need more survivability. And then there's the temporal negotiator, which whenever you trigger it, the bridge officer power recharge is reduced by 50%. You can't. Yeah, that's pretty big. Any new questions?
Not for me.
I'm going to go over some of the
Anybody else?
specific consoles versus the actual because there's a bunch of universal consoles in here. Hey, ma'am, how's it going? So two of the specific consoles. There's an engineering one called Reinforced Armaments. It is from Mission New Frontier Arc Beyond the Nexus. So you're gonna have to run the Beyond the Nexus twice. It is part of that two-piece set to get you the weapon paste, and it also increases power transfer rates and hull restoration. It's got some good survivability in it, which is why we picked that over the other part of the three-piece to get the two-piece set on this. And then the other one is the Engineering Trillium D plating. It is also from a mission, the Future Proof Arc, Ragnarok. Um, I'm sorry you have to run that mission to get this, but I mean it's.
Sorry. Sorry.
I mean, if you anyone's played Ragnarok, you know why I'm. Yeah, it's not a bad mission. It's long, you know. But I mean, I
Mm.
think it's one of the end. It's an end mission arc, so this is mainly just for more survivability. To help you with your survivability. Um, Now, if I did not have the universal console slot, I would have put Lorca's console down here with 3 of the vulnerability locators, and obviously I picked Phaser. Um, but since I had the universal slot, I slapped the Lorca's console up there so I can get a 4th vulnerability locator. Um, Now for the rest of them, I have an extra since I have the fleet variant, I have an extra science slot, which is why I threw something in here that no one probably has, but this captain. Um, Domino, it is a good plus 15 phaser, plus 20 accuracy, and it's got a good weapon bonus damage, and yeah. And then we have here the approaching agony console. Again, more plus phaser damage, and it has a nice damage boost or damage hit on its ability. The bioneural infusion circuits. This is again more hull capacity. It does give you some control expertise, but it's mainly here for its massive crit severity increase. So, and then the tachyokinetic converter is again a little more control expertise, but it's also here for the critical chance and critical severity. Um, Now most people probably don't have the tachyokinetic converter because it's 200 Lobi, or the bioneural infusion circuits also 200 Lobi. Another console that was recommended for the builds like this would be the Ultimate Modified Swarm Processor. I do not have it. It is also 200 Lobi. Those 3 are like the 3 Lobi consoles that people basically say put on every build. Uh, I don't have the Lobi. Well, I don't have those consoles on all my captains, so it's not gonna happen. It might happen on one captain, but not all of them. The Domino comes from the Bajoran Interceptor, which, like I said, was an event ship, so you might have it. It is also a Phoenix prize pack, so it is still available. You just have to get super lucky on getting one of those epic tokens. The Approaching Agony, I threw it on here because in the event that everyone caught the recent redeems, it was a console that was in. They gave us for free in one of the recent redeem things, not like here in the last few months. It is also on the exchange, but it's at a reasonable price, around 5 to 6 million EC. To me, that is a reasonable price for a console, because some of them can go up to 50 or more. And I listed a bunch of alternatives, like a simulated module, which would be Task Force Omega Rep. The Prior Worlds Elite Defense Satellite, that was a past event, and I would not say it's. To me, it's too overpriced in the MUDs market now, so if you don't have it, don't bother. I don't think it's worth the value that they put it in the MUDs market. That's just my opinion. Another alternative would be the 0-point energy module from the new Romulus rep. The quantum phase converter, which is from the mission Future Proof arc, the mission Sunrise. But yeah, there's a few. I'll have all the alternatives listed.
In essence, anything that increases the damage type of the weapon you're using is not a bad thing. In this case, phasers. So any console that increases phaser damage or all damage is going to help your build.
Or crit severity or crit chance.
Yes.
Those are things that you're looking for. Yes.
So go ahead.
Go. You had a comment.
I was just gonna go on to Boffs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I moved past you.
I'm on Boffs.
I was trying to, do the nose to nose thing that I like to do with ships, but I couldn't get lined correctly. Yeah, I mean, this is your build. You go ahead and talk about Boffs.
Okay. Bridge officers. Obviously. Superior Romulan operatives, if you have them. Fleet Embassy, if you want them. They cost dilithium. They cost a lot of fleet credits. But, I mean, you can get them. If you don't have them, then the second in line would be the Vanguard. Like the Jem'Hadar Vanguard bridge officers. That was a Gamma Vanguard pack in the Zen store, so you can buy them. They are good bridge officers. I have always liked them, but they are not SROs, superior Romulan operatives. But I think they are a good alternative. And if you like running around with your own set of bodyguards from the Gamma Quadrant, then I mean, even better. After that, the Cardassians, you can sometimes get them off the exchange. I don't know that there's an easy. You can try recruiting them. There's probably a way to trigger that, but I'm not good at getting the Cardassian bridge officer.
The one I have, I bought off the exchange. So
yeah, Crenum comes from. You can get some of them from the the research facility, which is one of the fleet holdings. Kentari are great. They used to be the only way you could get a good engineering bridge officer with good traits until we got the SROs for everything. But the Kentari comes from the fleet colony. Sadly, our fleet does not have them yet.
We're working on it.
Now, if you look at this setup, you probably notice that there is a tactical command officer and a science command officer. And if you know ship builds, they never do that in STO. They never give you two command officers. And the reason that is, you will set up both. You can set them both up with command officer powers. However, when you're in tactical mode, you get all of the commander ability, all the way up to commander ability on the tactical bridge officer. When you're not in the tactical mode, you get the science captain or science commander all the way up. And that's why there's a note that the commander science ability is available while tactical mode is inactive. So, and so the way I stacked this was I put attack pattern Omega, which is one of the biggest buffs for all damage. I mean, if you look at it, fire at will 3, lieutenant commander seating, tactical or torpedo spread 2, and then tactical team 1. And then with the ensign, I went ahead and just gave him chemocyte laced weaponry for added AoE damage. Now, okay, some of the traits, there's triggers that happen off of control abilities, so this is why you're going to notice the next 3 bridge officers are heavily stacked with control powers. I mean, even my Thursey, what a name. He has emit unstable warp bubble 1. It is the only engineering control ability, or one of the only. This comes from a mission. And it's the Iconian War arc and Broken Circle. Oh, and if you didn't know, chemocyte laced weaponry you have to buy off the exchange or get it from a lockbox. So it's normally not terribly priced. Let me see. It looked like last I looked about 7.5 mil for chemocyte laced weaponry 1. An alternative would be, if you don't have it, would be put torpedo spread 1 in here, or do another tactical team 1. And there's I'll talk on why that is. or you'll probably pick it up why it is here in a minute. I threw in Gravity Well too. Most people probably won't, or maybe they will have that. But the main abilities you need, I put Photonic Officer 2 for the reducing recharge time of Bridge Officer abilities. I did then Scramble Sensors for control, and Tractor Beam 1 for another control ability. This guy has Gravity Well 1, obviously another control ability. Jamming Target Sensors 2 for another control. And then I put Hazard Emitters 1 so you can put out any plasma fires or anything, basically debuff removal.
You went with a lot more control than what I put together.
Well, that's because of the way I went with the traits. There is a trait in here called Unconventional Systems. Using a Control Bridge Officer ability gives minus 7% recharge time to universal consoles. So every time you are hitting one of those control abilities, you're reducing all of your universal console abilities. So like Domino, something that gives you a big damage boost, you'll be able to trigger it many, many more times with this setup than yeah. So it's basically trying to get some of your damage boosting consoles to be able to trigger them many more times in a TFO or patrol. Yeah. Some of the obvious powers I put in here are Superior Beam Training. It would just be Beam Training if you haven't gone to K13 to upgrade it. And Beam Barrage, this is let's see, Beam Barrage is the one from R&D that you get from getting level 15 in the Beam school.
Yes, sir.
And then let's see, where am I? Where am I in the notes?
Crazy.
I put Innocuous. It's a default stock one. It gives you more crit severity and minus threat generation. Now, the threat generation will only be beneficial to you in a TFO, not so much if you're running around solo. I also have Fleet Coordinator. This gives you a buff, and then when you're in a team, it gives your entire team a buff. And it will stack if other people on your team also have it. So you can stack that up and get all kinds of goodness out of it. All right. This one, the Context for Kings, is a lockbox, or you can get it on the exchange for about 33 million. It is a damage resistance rating increase. If you take any damage, you get more damage resistance. Kind of help you survive a little bit. And if you did not take any damage, then you get bonus damage. So if you are basically going from one group to another, while you're transitioning, you will then be building more stacks of Context as King and do a massive damage at the start of the fight, and then it will flip to help you be more survivable when you're in the middle of everything. And I have Adaptive Offense. This one is a nice one for it. It gives you more crit chance when you do critical striking. Yeah. It's to play around with getting you more crit. It's sort of is flipping if you've been. So plus crit chance that becomes plus crit severity during repeated crits. The more you crit, it switches your chances of critting into your damage critting more. So basically, if you're doing massive crits, it's a way to kind of add a buffer. Let's say you've stacked so much crit chance that this will then buffer your crit chance down, so you bring your crit severity up where it will do more damage.
And it does it at the moment you crit. It switches everything at the moment you crit, therefore increasing your crit damage.
Let's see here. Unconventional systems. This is the one I was talking about earlier. The more control abilities you use, the more it will cut down the recharge time on your universal consoles. This again is a lockbox, roughly 30 million, or 35 million on this one. This one is used a lot, especially in science builds. I've heard of other builds doing it too, and that's why sometimes they'll throw a tractor beam 1 on some of their builds, even though they don't do much other control. They don't care that the tractor beam works well or not. They just want the control to trigger this proc. The Boimler effect. Okay, this is something, if you do not have it, you should be saving up and trying to buy it. You can get it off the exchange. You can buy it from the Lobi store. It's 200 Lobi or 85 million on the exchange, roughly. I think it's a it's worth the investment, because then you don't have to do an Ox to Bat build. You don't have to do some of this other stuff to get the cooldown stuff. Because typically in Ox to Bat builds, this ship doesn't have the engineering slots, honestly, to do a good Ox to Bat build. It could, and I was going to talk about that with, like, if you're going to do Ox to Bat with this ship, you would get rid of the unstable warp bubble 1 and put the auxiliary battery in there. And that would be, unfortunately, only one of those Ox to Bats, which means you will not be able to trigger it enough. Another good trait is the Intel Agent Attaché. And this is on Weapon Critical Strike, restore 2% of Captain ability recharge time. Now, being that I'm an engineering captain, that doesn't help me so much. If I were a tactical captain, all of those tactical plus damage stuff, it would let you have them back faster so you can do more and more damage. For me, it means there are certain abilities I can trigger that will be quicker, but outside of that, there is some damage boosting, but like, I could put my EPS power transfer more frequently, which means I have all the power in the world to do all the stuff. My beams will just never stop. But for tactical captains, this would be amazing for the damage builds. This works well in a lot of builds. It is also, yeah, like, it's roughly 35 million. Most of these lockbox traits seem to be about 35 million on the exchange. Terran targeting systems. Do I have? Is that the one I? Okay, I do have that. It is another plus crit severity. Whenever you get, you get plus 15% crit. But then incoming crit hits reduce your speed by 10%. Now, I didn't notice it, but I also, when we show this, I was pretty zoomy all the time. So I had to slow myself down to not, like, do circles. If you're a tactical captain, A Good Day to Die, also Lobi Exchange, another 36 million. I don't have this one because I'm not tactical on this guy.
I do.
My understanding, it lets you use one of your abilities anytime instead of just when you're below, like, 30% health or whatever it is, right?
That ability is Go Down Fighting 3, or, well, Go Down Fighting, it depends on your level, but at 65, it's Go Down Fighting 3. Yeah, usually you have to have a certain percentage haul to activate this ability. With A Good Day to Die, you can activate it at any time. It gives you a all damage resistance rating and a 50% bonus to all damage. It's a great ability.
Yeah. And some alternatives I dropped in here. Point blank shot, because if you have a habit of getting up close, the closer you are to your enemies, the more damage you do. And this comes from the Iconian War arc mission House Peg. And then the another one Self-modulating fire is a good one, though it's again another. There's so many lockbox exchange ones that yeah, that one's 40 million. Though a good default stock option is operative. Let me find that. But it is basically, I think it adds in more crit for you to do. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, plus crit chance, crit severity. It doesn't give you as much. It only gives you plus 1% crit chance and plus 2% crit severity, which is why it gets pushed so far down the list. Because it's better than nothing. I mean, it's definitely a DPS boost, but obviously you can get more crit other ways. So hence it sliding down the list. EPS manifold, I think that's an engineer one. Essentially that helps your power ratings. Yeah, batteries give a secondary boost, which it gives you more power whenever you use a battery, which I have it in my spam bar for the battery. Oh yeah, starship traits. This is where things get interesting.
So this is where it gets difficult too with your starship traits, because you have to have the starship to unlock these. Grebog's going to tell you like the top 4 to get for this build, but there are additional options. We've got alternates listed. There's a bunch of them on here. They come from all kinds of different things, like entwined tactical matrices, calm before the storm, supremacy. It just depends on what ships you have access to. Go ahead, Grebog.
So emergent, if you don't have the Arbiter, this is probably, if you ever get a T6 free ship token, go get yourself an Arbiter. It has the best damage trait in game, and that's emergency weapon cycle. It's just the best. 20% fire cycling haste for energy weapons for 30 seconds. Yeah, basically on emergency powered weapons that triggers, and it costs, your weapon power cost gets reduced. It is the best in game. Like, yeah, heck, it'd be worth buying the ship at the 3000s and not just waiting for a sale. It is a trait that you'll use on pretty much every build.
So what I'm taking away from this is get the Arbiter.
Get the, if you don't have the Arbiter, get the Arbiter. It is a good ship. Plus it is a good ship to fly even. Yeah. And redirecting arrays. This is one of the big ones for doing a fire at will build. Once per second while beam fire at will is active, receiving any damage grants you basically extra duration to your fire at will. It can go up to 15 seconds more. You are going to be hitting everything, and so then typically everything might be hitting you back. Unless you're with a tank, this is going to be good. If you're with someone that's tanking, you might want to swap this one out, but most times no one tanks in TFOs, especially if you're doing pugs. So this will be a decent one to like increase your fire at will duration. That one comes from the Tactical America Worker Cruiser. The next one is Promise for Ferocity. I honestly had no clue about this one until recently. I was doing some research, and it basically increases your beam weapon damage for the duration of combat. When you can when using pilot and tactical officer abilities. So I mean, you're basically spamming your tactical. You don't have any pilot on this, but you're spamming tactical. So, and then max once every 4 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. All stacks lost when leaving combat. Why did it drop one of my? Oh, because I clicked this. No, I want the ability. So it's a good one. It comes from the Andorian Thousand Pilot Escort. Which I didn't have it until somewhat recently, so I had never had this ability. I would say it's a good one to use if you have it. If not, you can find something else. All hands on deck. I do not have this one, because I do not have the tactical command battle cruiser. I have delayed getting that. It is a decent trait. Let me pull up the stats again. No, I don't want engines. I want all hands. So it essentially does. Well, yeah, like I said, it comes from the tactical command battle cruiser. Obviously, there's the 3 variants depending upon Fed, KDF, Romulan. But it does minus 10% recharge time on Science Bridge officer abilities. And then self 5% recharge time on captain abilities. So it just basically helps on recharging your abilities. But like I said, I don't have it, and I didn't feel they needed to. Yeah, maybe later, maybe another time.
Now, if I can jump in here for just a second, there's 2 alternatives that I want to talk about. The first one is history will remember. I bring this up because the Narendra, which is the ship that this comes off of, was given away for free at one point in time. So a lot of people may even have this ship and not realize that the trait is worthwhile. So the trait in question here, let me find it because I've got it equipped. I just don't know which slot it's in. There we go. So for every time you get damaged, you get a stack. You can have 30 stacks max, and each stack adds 1% to damage, 1% to hull regen, and 10% threat. If you are in threatening stance. If you are not in threatening stance, then the threat doesn't generate, and it's just the damage and hull regen and your maximum hull. So you get hull regen and increases your max. And these stacks remain until you leave the map. So it is not just while combat's going on. It doesn't fall away after a certain amount of time. It is when you leave the map. It's a very good trait to have. So check and see if you picked up the Narendra when it was given out for free. The other one I want to mention real quick is critical systems or improved critical systems. This comes from the Temporal Agent Recruit, and it is a account-wide unlock. So if you have a Temporal Agent Recruit, go through your little menu until you find this, and then work on getting that unlocked. It is a fantastic trait. You will use it on lots of builds. And again, it's an account unlock. So once you have it, you'll have it on every character. Other than that, you can read through the list when we post the notes. There's a bunch on here. Enjoy.
I'm gonna cover a couple. Like I put in entwined tactical matrices in mine setup because I didn't have all hands on deck. I didn't have the history will remember, and apparently I haven't claimed the critical systems yet, even though I have it unlocked. Bad me. I went with the entwined tactical matrices. Basically, when activating torpedo spread, you get a free fire at will. When activating fire at will, you get a free torpedo spread. And I have it set up that you are triggering both of those. So you're basically trying to get more free fire at wills and torpedo spreads. I also have in here target rich environment, though. Well, okay, let's see. Before I go, entwined tactical matrices comes from the Gagarin Miracle Worker battle cruiser. Target rich environment, no one probably has because it comes from the lockbox ship, I believe. Where is it in the it comes from the Kelvin Timeline Intel Dreadnought Cruiser, which I somehow have. But this one, plus 1% directed energy damage per target while cannon, scatter volley, or beam fire at will is active. So it basically, the more targets you hit, the more damage, the bigger boost you get out of it. And
sorry.
Supremacy is another one I have on here, which comes from the Vodwar Estika. And it is a +2 all power levels for 15 seconds per target hit while, with your fire at will. But yeah, there's a list. We have of a bunch of options. Reputation, typically you have the enhanced armor penetration, precision, auxiliary power, configuration of offense, Advanced targeting systems, magnified firepower. That's kind of a standard. I'm not going to go through all the details on what those are because
Basically,
they all
what you're
boost
looking
damage
for
or
is
crit.
crit. Yeah, exactly. Damage or crit chance. That's what you're looking for with
Yeah.
those. And then with your active space, pick the ones you like and roll with it. There's no real trick to that.
Let's see. I think that I don't like Force Challenge. I don't think that one's a good one for a DPS build. Just saying. But if you like the tethered asteroid, you go with the tethered asteroid.
I mean,
That's
we can tell you like the common ones: biomolecular shield, anti-time entanglement, deploy sensor interference platform, and refracting tetrion. That's almost universally the 4 that I use, but really use what you like.
for DOFs. We gotta get there. I didn't have all the great. I don't have the best DOFs on this captain. Essentially, you're gonna want to get one of the energy weapons officers with critical hit. Basically stacking critical chance. You'll want one that stacks critical severity, and apparently I have 2 of the same one. Oops. You only need one of each. Then you should look for a space warfare specialist. I don't have any. I didn't have them on this guy, and the only one I saw on the exchange was 52 million.
I've got Dayoga.
Yeah, because there's Dayoga and there's Bethul or Bethil. They are the same. They're basically the same.
So Dayoga, or the other one. When you're activating a tactical bridge officer ability, you have a 20% chance to get outgoing damage as hull healing. So it's like 10% of your outgoing damage comes back to you as hull healing. It's a great little one to have, and I don't actually have him equipped right now. I need to fix that.
Another option, I put Law into this because if you're using torpedoes, then this is going to help you out because he reduces the chance to reduce the time to recharge your torpedoes. So means more torpedoes. More torpedoes means more damage.
If you're doing Aux to Bat, there are a series of Aux to Bat DOFs that you can get. Many of those you can get for free. I don't want to go into the details on that. Look at our previous episode where we talked about DOFs. We give you all the information in there, or you can look it up online. Just Aux to Bat duty officers.
And with being also a torpedo build, I tossed in that you could get projectile weapons officers that do the same as the energy ones that we talked about that give you critical chance or critical severity. Again, only need one of each of those if you're going to use them. And then I do recommend grabbing a gravimetric scientist for this build for the extra aftershock of gravity well. Because it's a free gravity well. More control. I think that's. Did we miss anything?
You put down specializations. So for this type of build, you want your primary specialization to be intel, and your secondary to be temporal ops. There's actually several builds that work off of those 2 together, with intel as your primary and temporal ops. Obviously, Katis here is not using those because this is not his primary build. But yeah, that's kind of what you're looking for if you want to focus on this.
Well, it saves as your loadout. If you change your specs, specializations.
Yeah,
if you don't have temporal. I was like, if you don't have temporal operative, a good second choice is strategist.
I see that one I do have maxed out. Temporal, I am working
on. Because you're doing so much with the control stuff, temporal operative kind of shines because of the amount of control that's in my build. And that's the only reason I went that route. Do we have any questions on our insanity here?
I'm going to read your note here. Being a science-heavy ship, we lean into it and take advantage of trait procs and use control abilities to reduce cooldown of universal consoles and bridge officer abilities while also trying to extend fire at will. The ultimate goal is to have fire at will up 100% of the time, which you can absolutely do, and then use the control abilities to pull everything basically into your phaser beams. It works really well.
I see a wild tabby also has been, you know.
She found us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're hiding so well. Okay, if you're gonna one trick or one issue I've noticed with this ship, because it has tactical mode. You do not want to be in tactical mode when you start a TFO. Well, before you warp into the TFO, or before you warp into a patrol, because it will immediately go onto cooldown as you show up at the new location. Now, in a TFO, it won't be a big deal because it'll be off cooldown within 5 seconds, I think it is, roughly, and you'll be able to switch to it before you're out of the 30-second, hey, welcome to the TFO.
Right. Or you might be one of the really long cooldown ones, or like TFOs.
Yeah.
Startups.
But if you're doing patrols, I would recommend not having the tactical mode triggered until you get in. Alrighty.
Or just you'll be running in your science mode.
Yeah.
So that is going to run our show down today. I know it was kind of one of those episodes where we do a lot of talking and not a lot of action. We are going to make up for that next week. I'm planning on doing a call to arms TFOs again. This time we'll try to mix a space TFO in with a couple ground. Ultimately, our goal with the TFOs is to detail every TFO in the game. We have done almost all of the space ones. We still have a lot of ground to go. So if you guys are around and you want to help, it always helps the queue times if we have more people. So especially if we can get to a full team. For now, we are going to stay at the 9. However, next Monday is Halloween.
Spooky Halloween.
I almost forgot about that. So we may not be doing TFOs next week. That may be pushed back another week. We have something special in mind for our Halloween show. So I'm changing the notes here. So next week will be the Halloween show. Week after that will be TFOs. And we might do some TFOs next week as well. We'll see how it goes. We want to show off this build before we leave, though, so we are going to run a quick patrol. So let's knock that out. Let's see. What do you want to do?
I don't care.
You want to do our go-to, our let us run?
Let's go with something that has more enemies at the end, because I will end up massacring whatever Argala too quickly.
How about rescue and search then? And before we go in, let me change our difficulty here. We are on advanced. All right, well, good. So rescue, you good with that one?
Yes.
Current system, here we go. So we'll have a little bit of action here. This shouldn't take very long. Switching to tactical.
My favorite ship class?
Good to see you,
I think it comes down to more favorite. I don't know. I'm a little mixed. I more picked ships that I like, not just the class.
I pretty much do the same thing. I tend to favor escorts because I'm a fan of the higher turn rate, but with the competitive engines, that's almost a non-issue these days. Kind of hard to say precisely, but if you're talking just ship classes from the shows or in general, that's easy for me. I like the oh wait, we got enemies here shooting at me. I should probably deal with that. I like the Protostar class. But outside of the Protostar, I really find that I like the Akira. And they have talked about releasing a legendary Akira in game, and I am very excited for that. I hope they do.
Truly the blessing.
I've pretty much always liked the Akira class. I mean, it was a big ship in some of the older games.
That's one less.
You didn't really see it a whole lot on screen, but I do really, really like the Akira.
Bad news, I'm afraid.
I'm almost disappointed they haven't released a legendary version before now. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Oh, here's the zoomies.
Phasers everywhere.
Oh, I forgot to hit tactical mode. Doot 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 doot.
Yeah, I don't have my gravity well anymore.
Well, that's why I put a gravity well into the lieutenant commander spot. So that way I would have gravity wells. Then
yeah, I did not do that.
Yeah,
I went
warp
with
bubble.
Titans.
Come on, turn, baby.
There they went. We had some strays over here that were getting away from me for a minute. I am using Boimler. I don't know if you guys saw that. I do have the Boimler effect.
All the beam arrays, everywhere. See, this is why I didn't worry about omnis in the rear. Oh hey, you held me.
Took some damage there. Calling in some help. Not that we really need it, but you know. I think you're doing a little bit better than me in here, but your build was more on par.
Well, I mean, it's easier to be on par when I set the par level.
Well, I threw this together while we were doing the show, so...
I actually went and grabbed a couple of my ships I didn't have traits off of, and went and grabbed the, you know, basically got the traits quick, so that way I had...
Boy, that one started. Oh, that one went down fast. See, I'm even sitting still. Technically, I should be piloting around more, but I'm trying to show off.
As long as your beams hit everybody, you know, that's all that matters.
That was a lot of torpedoes.
I got a lot of torpedoes too. They sent me out, and then I came.
Oh, I see. They got their command ship in here. All right. It left me in tactical mode when I respawned. That's
yes.
A little weird.
So, okay. That is something I've noticed. I hope it's a feature, a purposeful feature. But I've had it not flip me maps. Or like if for whatever reason I'm in a mission and go to one part to another, I don't have to re-trigger tactical mode.
I wonder if that's specific to this ship or if all the ships that have different modes do that now. That would be kind of cool, actually. I might have to test that on some of the older science ships, like the Solanae science ships.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tier 5, but they still had the mode that switched.
Well, there's the Chimera that has tactical mode as well.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And I actually like that ship. And I got Ambassador Kale talking about that ship during one of their live streams. He was also confused why they haven't released a update to those ships yet, like a legendary version or um, just an update. Because even the tier 6 versions of those are kind of outdated now.
Yeah.
All right. I actually think what they should do is have an alliance. Alliance. What are those? Those aren't battle cruisers. What are those? Destroyers. I think they need an alliance destroyer that would fit that mold. Have an update, but instead of being specific to each faction, just do one alliance ship. I think that would be really cool.
One alliance destroyer.
Yep. So, oh, I missed that. Sorry. So Phil a Nugget. Am I
Nugget.
saying that
Just
right?
say Nugget.
Hi, Nugget. I missed your hi there. I'm sorry. We started talking to Elite and I missed yours. I apologize. Oh, and there's a jellyfish. Star jelly. Jellyfish. Can't really call it a jellyfish because there's another jellyfish in the game, but you know.
Apparently I'm becoming a clownfish.
There you go. All right, so again, next week the Halloween show. This coming Thursday, we are going to do our fun night. I think we're going to start at 10 for fun night.
Sure.
And I think that's it. Did I miss anything? Oh, I did miss something.
Play the game.
As with all of our build videos, when we post this on YouTube, we will also post the show notes. So if you decide you want to copy this build, you can go there and just get the text readout. Again, you miss our lovely voices and personalities when you do that, but the information is there.
Yes. I do that because I know I am not great at going, like, someone will like, oh, hey, here's the traits I use, and there's just a screenshot capped out of their traits, and I maybe some of you can look at the picture, little icons, and know what they mean. I unfortunately am not that person. So, yeah.
Is the Valiant.
So the fleet's moving along nicely. It probably did help that we have to get fleet credits for the Universal. So we have all the colony projects currently counting down. There are some going to be in shortly after them in looks like 7.5 hours. I did queue up some other projects in the holdings for some provisions to try to help let people get what they need for the Universal. I might queue up another one for like engineering here. It looks like could use, we only have 40 of the personal requisition provisioning for the engineering,
Mem, you are always welcome to come annoy us. Everybody's welcome to come annoy us. I mean, join us.
Oh yeah, Mims started streaming some. I don't know how frequently he's going to be streaming. So definitely go and check out. Here, let me do this again because it was so early. I don't know that. So go check out Tabby. Go check out.
So inadequate.
My
check
out Mim.
Class is puny compared to Mim with the cloaked engine. Why is your engine cloaked?
Because he's a jelly. Oh.
I don't remember seeing it cloaked before. Anyway. All right. Well, I guess that's going to be the show for tonight. Join us next week for our Halloween show. And as always, I will see you out there.
Live long and prosper, everybody. And
stick around for the after show.